ladies and gentlemen, we got a couple more reactions before we end off and I go to bed. This is one that I've been waiting to react to for a while. If y'all know me, you know I am a huge fan of Jay-Z and his music. And as of late, the hip hop community has not been a big fan of my man's, you know what I'm saying? So we finna figure out what the issue is, what the discourse is, and I'm aware of most of it. I'm not gonna lie. I really try to separate the art from the artist, but I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes he do be doing stuff that makes me look at him a little sideways, man. He do be doing some questionable stuff. But at the end of the day, for me, it's hard for me to deny the music, man. He's just one of the goats, bro. I can't even lie, bro. Oh! But let's go ahead and check this video out. Why hip hop hates Jay-Z now.
Even Jay-Z's biggest supporters are turning on him now. And for decades, people defended him. They thought he was the person that they hoped he was, and that his success was his community's success. But after the failing of his recent plans to build a casino in Times Square, it painted an entirely different picture.
Because Jay-Z really tried to argue that building a casino would be good for black people. And this is the issue with Jay-Z, Beyonce, and many black capitalists, is they will do things that are only meant to benefit them and then try to act like it is something for the collective.
And when you take a closer look at Jay-Z's other work with the NFL, his liquor brands, and his streaming platform, you start to see an interesting pattern. Jay-Z will market businesses as beneficial to his community when the only benefactor is Jay-Z.
But it is something wrong when you're constantly guilting people to make it seem like you're going for some bigger than your self-effort and you're just selflessly doing things, when in reality you're just trying to get it to a
I ain't gonna lie, bro. You didn't get to those B's no way, man. It had to be some type of deal, some type of handshake, some type of something, bro.
Oh!
a point where you could sell and make a lot of money.
And what makes things even more sinister is that Jay-Z will use the veneer of social justice to promote these businesses when they arguably cause social harm.
Okay, I think we've passed kneeling. I think it's time to go into actionable items.
This is a story that some Jay-Z fans might not want to hear, but as you'll see, this unquestionable devotion to Jay-Z is also part of the problem. In June of 2005, Jay-Z featured on the Kanye West song Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix, uttering the famous lines, "I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman." And this is a line that would explain his entire business philosophy. A year later, the concept of Jay-Z as a business, rather than a businessman, would come into fruition. Throughout his career, Jay-Z rapped about Cristal champagne as it symbolized the successful lifestyle he led in spite of his very humble and struggling beginnings. But in May of 2006, Frederick Wizaud, the owner of the company who made Cristal, did a now infamous interview with The Economist magazine. He was asked about the drink's association with the bling bling lifestyle and how this could be, quote, detrimental to the brand. He replied, "What can we do? We can't forbid people from buying it. I'm sure Dom Perignon or Krug would be delighted to have their business." In response, Jay-Z released a statement which read, "It has come to my attention that the managing director of Cristal views the hip-hop culture as unwelcome attention. I view his comments as racist and will no longer support any of his products through any of my various brands, including the 4040 Club, nor in my personal life." The 4040 Club was a nightclub that he had opened. Jay-Z encouraged people to boycott the product, and the music video for his single Show Me What You Got did not have any Cristal bottles, but a gold bottle of Armand de Brignac, also known as Ace of Spades. And from here on in, this would become Jay-Z's drink of choice. In the 2009 song, Jay-Z rapped, "I used to drink Cristal, them mother effers racist, so I switched gold bottles on that spade-ish." And interestingly, Jay-Z did not switch to a competitor, but a drink nobody had ever really heard of. The French newspaper Le Monde said that it was more of a case of clever marketing than wine-making tradition. Armand de Brignac was a wine attached to the Cartier family that had been dormant since the 1950s. But Jay-Z's name, as well as the anti-racist story that came with it, was enough to lift this obscure champagne into some of the most important rooms in the world. In September of 2012, Jay-Z and Beyonce held a fundraiser at the 4040 Club in Manhattan for President Obama, which included a tower of 350 bottles of Ace of Spades. Jay-Z would take full ownership of the brand in 2014. And in 2021, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, or LVMH, purchased a 50% stake for an undisclosed amount. And interestingly, LVMH did not buy a 100% stake in the company. For this to be a profitable business, Jay-Z's name still needed to be attached to it, or as his lyrics foreshadowed, Jay-Z was the business. As well as financial capital, Jay-Z had cultural capital, and this was something that the average CEO does not have, but could attain by working with Jay-Z.
Damn.
When penning the deal, a spokesperson from LVMH said that Jay-Z provided them with entry into an entirely new market.
But of course, what Armand de Brignac did, or what Jay-Z did with this brand, is really creating a new market of its own at a very high level, high prestige level of the category, touching new consumers, bringing new consumers to the world of champagne, with a very disruptive way of marketing, of bringing the product across, and that brand became a huge success.
This story suggests that Jay-Z has some sort of Midas touch, and any product association with him could earn you millions of dollars. He did a similar venture with Bacardi, where he became the face of Douce Cognac in 2012 and sold his stake in 2023 for $750 million. But there's another example where one of the biggest tech CEOs in the world was willing to take a massive financial hit because of the cultural capital and friendship that comes with working for Jay-Z and the way he markets his businesses.
Damn.
In January of 2015, 3 months after Jay-Z had bought Ace of Spades, Jay-Z bought Aspiro for $56 million, which would later become his streaming platform Tidal. What separated this from competitors like Spotify was that this platform was going to empower musicians and make sure they get their fair share of pay. As well as Jay-Z, artists like Rihanna, Beyonce, Madonna, Kanye West, Daft Punk, and Jack White, amongst others, owned equity in the company. At a ceremony to launch this new service, this is what Alicia Keys said.
Our goal is simple. We want to create a better service and a better experience for both fans and artists, and that is our promise to the world. Our mission goes beyond commerce. It goes beyond technology. Our intent is to preserve music's importance in our lives.
In terms of the product Jay-Z was selling, it wasn't different from Spotify. Tidal had a slightly better sound quality, and Spotify had a free option with ads, but by and large, these two services were almost indistinguishable. The biggest differentiator was that Tidal was paying artists roughly 1 cent per stream, whereas Spotify were paying 1/3 to 1/4 of a cent per stream. So choosing Tidal over Spotify was often done for moral or ethical reasons. But another unique selling point of Tidal was that this was a, quote, black-owned business and run by a hip-hop legend. At a promotional concert for Tidal, Jay-Z used an interesting choice of words when pointing out that his streaming service paid slightly more to artists. At a Tidal B-Sides concert promoting the platform, he rapped, "I feel like YouTube is the biggest culprit. Them dudes pay you 1/10 of what you're supposed to get. You know people die for equal pay, right? You know when I work, I ain't your slave, right?" He also rapped, "Well, I can't tell how the way they killed Freddie Gray, right? Shot down Mike Brown, how they did Trey, right? Let them continue choking y'all. We gon' turn style, I ain't your token. You know I came in this game independent, right? Title my own lane, same difference." So from Jay-Z's point of view, the names of Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, and Mike Brown, all of which were black men who were killed in horrific circumstances, are connected to this new streaming platform that Jay-Z was launching, or at least the injustice that he felt they faced. But despite being a, quote, black-owned business, the platform's staff and executives were no different than Spotify. Spotify's headquarters were in Sweden, while Tidal's were in Norway. A photo of Tidal's head office showed a staff photo of mainly white Norwegians, which, to be fair, is a predominantly white country. The biggest tangible benefit of Tidal was exclusivity. There was a point where this was the only place you could listen to Kanye's album The Life of Pablo, Beyonce's Lemonade, and Lil Wayne's Free Weezy album. However, a Norwegian newspaper investigated the company and alleged that Jay-Z and Tidal were inflating their numbers. In September of 2015, Tidal said they had 1 million people and counting, but this newspaper claimed that their internal reports said that they merely had 830,000. But whether Tidal inflated these numbers or not, the coming years would see it become a very niche player in the streaming market. Tidal had a promising $200 million deal with Sprint in 2017, but by 2020, the platform had around 3 million subscribers, compared to Spotify's 345 million and Apple Music's 60 million. But despite these unimpressive figures, Jay-Z would somehow come out on top. Just weeks after his Ace of Spades deal in 2021, Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey announced a $297 million acquisition of Tidal, which was to become part of his financial services company, Square. As part of this deal, Beyonce, Madonna, and Rihanna retained their stakes and became the second largest shareholders. Jay-Z, meanwhile, was given a seat at Square's board of directors. And Jack Dorsey probably had the same thinking as LVMH. If you want to buy Jay-Z's company, you still need to keep Jay-Z. And this is what business circles were calling the, quote, cool factor.
The deal would fit with Square's recent growth strategy, what some analysts call the cool factor. Hundreds of hip-hop artists have written Cash App into their lyrics, and Square launched a clothing line a few weeks ago. Just last week, Square did a Bitcoin giveaway with rapper Megan Thee Stallion.
Jay-Z would ultimately strike a deal that benefited himself, but didn't really fulfill the moral crusade it claimed to be campaigning for. In fact, Nicki Minaj has claimed that she didn't receive the $9 million payout her equity percentage allegedly warranted. Instead, she was allegedly offered a $1 million payout, which she had 24 hours to respond to, but denied the payout. And academics would be one of the first people in hip-hop to point out that Jay-Z will market his businesses as being some sort of noble cause, but in the end, the only real benefit was for Jay-Z.
But he is one of the people who will say, hey, why you not going to with me? I'm black. Yo, I'm doing it for black people. But he's not doing it for black people. He's doing it for his own self.
I ain't gonna lie, it was the Super Bowl that really did it for me, bro. When they put him on that shit, that was a little fishy to me. That's when I started looking at him like, huh? Why you on that side of the fence, bro? You know what I'm saying? But, hey.
Selfish means. It's nothing wrong with what Jay's doing, but it is something wrong when you're constantly guilting people to make it seem like you're going for some bigger than your self-effort and you're just selflessly doing things.
No, facts, exactly. Like, again, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, peacemaking and trying to make peace among both sides. But it's like, bro, when you making M's off your peacemaking and you really don't care about what's happening anyways, then it's like, alright, bro.
In reality, you're just trying to get it to a point where you can sell and make a lot of money.
This was a deal that maybe came across a bit exploitative, but ultimately there was no real harm done. But it was when Jay-Z decided to work with the NFL that he really started to receive some backlash. In 2019, the NFL had a PR nightmare on their hands. 3 years earlier, Colin Kaepernick had taken the knee during the national anthem. He then opted out of his contract with the San Francisco 49ers in 2017, but not a single NFL team was willing to sign him since. It was alleged that the NFL had blackballed him for his stance, and he had an army of supporters outraged at the NFL. Most notably, Cardi B and Rihanna were among the names of artists who declined to perform at the Super Bowl. One of Kaepernick's most high-profile supporters was Jay-Z, who even wore his jersey when performing on Saturday Night Live and encouraged artists to boycott the halftime show. The 2019 Super Bowl was hosted in Atlanta, which by then was the epicenter of hip-hop. However, the halftime show featured the white California pop rock band Maroon 5. Despite guest appearances from Big Boi and Travis Scott with the band, it wasn't the greatest look. The solution for the NFL was simple. Get Jay-Z and all the cultural capital that comes with him to work with them. Roc Nation Sports was signed to work on the halftime shows and, quote, amplify the league's social justice efforts. There were also rumors that Jay-Z was going to buy his own NFL team, too. This NFL deal led to a now famous press conference where Jay-Z was asked about Kaepernick.
I think that I think we take it back. I think that we forget that Colin's whole thing was to bring attention to social injustice, correct? So in that case, right, this is a success, right? This is the next thing, right? Because there's two parts of protesting. You go outside and you protest, and then the company or the individual say, I hear you. What do we do next, right? So for me, it was like actionable item. What are we gonna do with it? Like everyone heard, and we hear what you're saying, and everybody know, I agree with what you're saying. So what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So reach millions and millions of people, or we get stuck on Colin not having a job.
Then Jay-Z was asked if he would take the knee.
Okay, I think we passed kneeling. Yeah, I think it's time to go into actionable items.
want people to stop?
No, I don't want people to stop protesting at all. Kneeling, I know we're stuck on it because it's a real thing, but it's a form of protest. I support protests across the board. We need to bring light to the issue. I think everyone knows what the issue is, and we're done with that. Everyone knows what you know what the issue is? You know why we were kneeling? Okay, do you know the issue? Yeah, do you know the issue? Yes? We all know the issue now. Okay, next. Where are we moving on next? And I'm not, again, so to be clear for the room, I'm not minimizing that part of it because that has to happen. That's a necessary part of the process. But now we all know what's going on. What are we going to do?
Kaepernick's former teammate Eric Reed was disgusted by these comments.
For you to get paid to go into an NFL press conference to say that we're past kneeling, again, asinine. Jay-Z claimed to be a supporter of Colin, wore his jersey, told people not to perform at the Super Bowl because of the treatment that the NFL did to Colin, and now he's going to be a part owner. It's kind of despicable. Colin lost his job because of protesting for justice. Us fighting for Colin to get a job is returning him.
Damn. Welcome back, Lance. Your school assignment on entrepreneurship. Nice, man. Nice, man. We just running through a couple more of my videos. And then I don't think I'm going to end up reacting to that album. I think I'm just going to wake up tomorrow and do it in the morning before I get my day started, to be honest. I think that's the plan. But I'm just going to run through these videos and then, yeah, end stream soon.
To the status quo of being an employee.
Shannon Sharp made the point that there were people who had followed Jay-Z's boycott, but now witnessed Jay-Z working with the NFL.
It was reported that he reached out to Jermaine Dupri because the NFL asked Jermaine Dupri, who's from Atlanta, to produce the halftime show. Yep. And it was reported that Jay-Z called him and told him to bow out. Now, you gonna ask him to bow out. Hey, man, hey, Skip, check this out, bro. I can't do that, man. I ain't gonna go do that. All right, you know what, Shannon? That's good. I'm gonna ride with you, bro. And then come to find out, Skip. I'm like, Skip,
yeah. Well,
Jay-Z knows how this works. He knows how it is in community, how it looks. Like you went behind their back when you said no, and you all the while you're trying to maneuver. Maybe he was trying to maneuver himself into a more favorable position that would give him a little more leverage. Because it's like, look, guys, I don't know if you can get a guy that's any more respected in the African-American community than I am that have the assets that I could be an owner.
Kenny Still from the Dolphins was of the mind of, let's see how this goes.
For the most part, what I'm trying to say to people is that let's work towards solutions, and let's wait and see what goes down from this deal. You can't really tell right now. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't think that it was handled the right way, but you never know.
And in fairness to Rock Nation, they definitely did transform the halftime show. 2022 felt like a real moment with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg playing in Inglewood and Mary J. Blige getting her flowers too. But the sports journalist Jamil Hill pointed out that, like Jay-Z's projects before, this helped on an individual level, but not at a collective level.
Because at the same time, I love black artistry and excellence celebrated. And hip-hop, again, deserved that stage. Black people deserve that stage because we're the epicenter of music. But I wonder, it's like, was it worth it? It's worth it for the individual artists that we're able to, without doing anything, like Mary gets a Pepsi tour out of it. Like, yes, it does work individually. Does it work collectively and community-based? Does it work? And sometimes we give access to our culture that they don't deserve. And I don't think we give it up easily, but I think we give it up all with the same game plan. We'll be like, oh, yeah, we'll do it because we can change the system from within. And I don't know if that's always true. I think it needs both. Inside pressure, outside pressure.
The 2025 halftime show can be looked at in two ways. Kendrick Lamar put in an almost historical halftime show, alongside people like Samuel L. Jackson, Serena Williams, and SZA. But given that the show was in the city of Louisiana, Lil Wayne seemed like a more fitting headlining act. Lil Wayne told Rolling Stone magazine that he was hurt by the decision and that he felt that the NFL had let him on. To perform, it's a bunch of things they're going to tell you to do and not do. Ask to kiss and not kiss. If you notice, I was a part of things I've never been a part of. like Michael Rubin's all-white parties. I'm doing stuff with Tom Brady. That was all for that. You ain't never seen me in them types of venues. I ain't Drake. I ain't out there smiling like that everywhere. I'm in the studio, smoking, and recording. Jay-Z's success with the NFL is debatable, and because of his legacy in music, it's tempting to give him the benefit of the doubt. His casino, meanwhile, is very difficult to defend. In December of 2022, Jay-Z's Roc Nation partnered with SL Green Realty and Caesars Entertainment to propose a casino resort in Times Square. In a statement,
I never heard of this casino, so let's see what's going on here.
Wrote, New York is a beacon, the epicenter of culture. We have the opportunity to create a destination at the heart of Times Square, the true crossroads of the world. My partnership with SL Green and Caesars, this coalition has all the promise and commitment to economic opportunity, growth, and enrichment for the community and everyone who visits the Empire State. So Jay-Z promised that this would bring jobs to the community, economic growth to the area, and people could also enjoy themselves in the casino. Their central argument was that New York was awarding 3 casino licenses. Resorts World and MGM were the obvious favorites, and there was a remaining casino license that was up for grabs. Among the competitors for this third license, Roc Nation claimed that they had the community's better interests at heart. This is why Jay-Z became the face of this project, rather than Mark Holliday, the CEO of SL Green, one of the biggest commercial real estate owners in Manhattan. And the central question was, did Jay-Z and Roc Nation really have the community's best interest at heart? A union of Broadway theater workers known as the Broadway League set up a coalition of residents, businesses, community organizations who were vehemently against the casino. Instead of Roc Nation's claim that this was good for the community, they found research that 67% of Midtown residents opposed it. And instead of benefiting the community, the casino could actually be harmful. On their website, it states, research shows that, Las Vegas aside, casinos don't meaningfully drive new tourism. Instead, they act as magnets for local gamblers and prey on vulnerable populations. A Times Square casino would bring economic and social disruption, not development, and make our community less welcoming to families from all over the world. They also mentioned that this would be harmful to the Broadway theater community. After a long recovery from the pandemic, visitors have rediscovered the allure of the theater and have returned to the restaurants around Times Square. Casinos are built to keep visitors inside their doors as long as possible, patronizing their own restaurants, shops, and entertainment venues at the expense of the 90,000 plus jobs nearby businesses support. Roc Nation soon released a statement about their bid, which said that they had, quote, a track record of turning words into deeds, of putting New York City and its residents first, people of all races, religions, ethnicities, genders, orientations, and socioeconomic statuses. New Yorkers in every corner of every borough, all of us. The winning organization must have a history of campaigning for fair hiring, representation, and reform. Hate, as well as groups that have a history of oppressing the most vulnerable, have no place in New York. Roc Nation addressed the concerns from the theater industry and wrote, our bid commits $115 million for diverse theater programs that include daycare for Broadway workers and their families. Any worries that this casino would lead to an increase in crime was supposedly mitigated by Roc Nation's plan to invest money into sanitation and security from the bow tie all the way west into Hell's Kitchen. What Roc Nation failed to mention is that their competitors were not trying to build casinos in Times Square, but other areas of New York. Other bidders suggested casinos in arguably more suitable areas like Coney Island or Citi Field. Alongside this, Rick Strom from TYT Sports pulled up some pretty damning evidence of the economic benefits of casinos.
Jonathan Krutz, an emeritus professor at Boise State University who has studied casinos for 30 years, would publish a paper that studied casinos from the years 2002 to 2017 and over 39 states. He found that local economies with casinos did not experience faster growth in retail sales than those without casinos. He would conclude that casinos didn't typically attract new money, cannibalizing from existing businesses instead. Furthermore, Lucy Dedayan, a senior research associate with the Urban Institute, a research organization, would say the benefits of casinos are quite short-lived, and the only way for states to realize sustained growth in gambling tax revenue is to open more casinos or legalize new forms of gambling, like online or even in the sports betting realm. When there's a new casino opening around the corner, Dedayan said, people go and try it for the novelty. After some time, as short as 1 year, it wears off.
But just like with Tidal, Jay-Z used his power and influence to get other people on his side. Fat Joe, who's also with Roc Nation, appeared at an 8-hour free buffet in support of the casino. Alicia Keys, who's also with Roc Nation, met with New York residents to talk up the deal too. Outside of Roc Nation, the project received surprising support from the civil rights activist Reverend Al Sharpton, who Jay-Z has been close with for decades. And despite the opposition from Broadway, the legendary actor Wendell Pierce, who's best known as Bunk from The Wire, lent his support too. However, an article in Vanity Fair pointed out that Roc Nation coincidentally pledged $15 million to build a civil rights museum, something which Al Sharpton is passionate about, and $10 million to support traditionally black theaters, a cause that Wendell Pierce cares about deeply. So it's hard not to argue that these donations from Roc Nation didn't influence those guys' decisions. And this article in Vanity Fair shared a fairly damning moment when Roc Nation tried to persuade State Senator Liz Kruger to support their bid. In a Zoom meeting on the proposal, she was asked if she wanted to meet Jay-Z, and her response was, "Why? I don't like his music particularly." They're like, "You don't want to meet Jay-Z? Well, you know who he's married to?" So when the novelty of being associated with Jay-Z didn't work, Beyonce was wheeled out instead. In the end, a community advisory committee voted down the construction of the casino, and Mark Holliday publicly berated the board as if they had blocked the construction of a children's hospital or something.
We met the standard and then some, and the only one with courage to stand up is the governor and the mayor appointees, and everybody else runs and hides. Go run and hide. Because what you did, the benefits you denied this community and this city and state, you have to live with that history forever.
And there is this sense that Jay-Z can do what he wants with his money, but he needs to stop presenting his businesses as some sort of moral crusade when they might actually be the opposite.
Because Jay-Z really tried to argue that building a casino would be good for black people. And this is the issue with Jay-Z, Beyonce, and many black capitalists, is they will do things that are only meant to benefit them and then try to act like it is something for the collective. If black capitalists want to lean into the hyper-individualism of the moment and do things only meant to benefit them, have at it, I guess. But to continue to act like this is for black people, like this is in any way going to lead to our liberation, is not just ridiculous.
So you'll see Jay-Z receiving a lot of flack from left-wing circles for being a, quote, black capitalist. Jay-Z often invokes the fact that he was born on the same day that Fred Hampton was shot, who was a socialist. But even somebody like DJ Academics, who self-admittedly voted for Trump, is aggrieved by the use of social justice to make money and how Jay has become a very useful tool for the establishment.
Jay-Z's role in a lot of these business deals is that he has cultural favor. It's the reason why he told, he sat in front of the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and he said, "We're done with kneeling. It's time for actionable items." And then he snaked Colin Kaepernick and he started running the Super Bowl. And people stopped kneeling. So Jay-Z's a guy who could make it happen. So they gave him the role again. Make this happen for us. Make it happen for us. We want to bring casinos to New York City, Times Square.
In the end, Jay-Z is many things to many people. He is an artist, an entrepreneur, and an activist. Yet, much like in business, where money and capital can be lost, the goodwill he's built with fans over the years is a resource that's being slowly whittled down and could one day run out.
All right, yeah. Like I said, man, sometimes Jay-Z does do a little shady stuff, but when you separate the art from the artist, his art is pretty nice. But when you take the time to look at the artist, you're like, damn, bro, like, he ain't for the people. But once you get to that billionaire status, I'm not even excusing for him. I'm just saying, once you get to the billionaire status, you tend to be very selfish. So it is what it is, and he doesn't even make music no more, for real. So not my problem. But that's my reaction on why everybody or hip hop hates Jay-Z now. I'm going to go ahead and end these reactions now and go ahead and end the stream here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I'm going to be coming back very soon because I am supposed to be doing an album reaction, so I'll most likely be back tomorrow at some point. But like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, now they talking again. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches. Here we go, now they talking again. I'm getting gritty on these niggas. I'm getting gritty on these bitches.